Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session on building AI apps, technical use cases, and patterns. I'm Devanshi Joshi, Senior Product Marketing Manager for the Azure Application Platform. And joining me today for this session will be Whaley, Partner Director for Product for Developer Tools, and Dan Gartner, Director Specialist for App Innovation. We will start with exploring the technical patterns and use cases for AI-powered app development, then explore the tools to help you get started easily, and finally close with how to operationalize these AI apps in production. All right, so before we begin into the deep depths of technology use cases, with a show of hands here in person and also virtually, can you tell me how many of you interact with AI today? Wow, like 99% of the room. And I'm sure virtually as well. It could be in your personal lives with home assistants, or in your professional lives with AI-powered tools using Microsoft Copilot, ChatGPT, and other routines that are now part of both your work and daily home lives. So AI is pretty much revolutionizing everything in our lives, personally and professionally. It's been around for a couple of decades. The last few years have been radically transformative, transforming also the app development journey that we've seen our customers on board and join us along. So every business today across every industry is reinventing their current application landscape and building new apps right at the center with AI. Okay, so how about delivering this transformation, getting real with your organization? What are some of the key consideration areas for you to address? You start with looking at the represented use cases that are aligned to your business value. Discuss when and how to modernize your existing apps or data assets, and also highlight key operational imperatives and opportunities to ensure you can securely scale as your business grows. Discovering your AI app strategy with internal processes or experiences for external customers, it can be a whole layer of end-to-end experiences you build. So understanding where to focus your AI investment and remembering that your ROI is not just about cost. It could vary from time savings to customer satisfaction, as well as employee engagement. And depending on your business, consider these areas for your AI investments, whether it be reshaping business processes to operate more effectively, enriching the employee experiences, or reimagining your new customer experiences, accelerating existing product innovations or new ones to deliver completely transformed experience for both your solution in-house and end customers. So one way to think about it is that you consider cases that are mapped to internal experiences and then external experiences. So reinventing experiences for your customers can include personalization and product discovery. I see someone go, yeah, in the crowd. OK, I see you're there already. Nice. Content generation and marketing, service and support, or building your own assistants with build your own Copilot experiences. Like here, TomTom is reimagining their digital cockpit by understanding already 95% of their complex requests, improving response time from 12 seconds to 2.5 seconds. And when we reflect on internal experiences, the business processes side of it, extending to include, again, building internal assistants, AI assistants, copilots, or having high-volume transaction processing and anomaly detection, information discovery and knowledge mining, or even document intelligence and summarization. Manulife here has data scientists take only days now to set up their environment to make fraud detection much easier. So to get all of this started for our customers, Microsoft's Azure AI Application Platform provides the framework for you to build your own AI-powered apps. In fact, it's the framework that Microsoft Copilot is built on. It's the most advanced platform for creating AI capabilities and solutions. Whether you're extending and building on top of Microsoft Copilot or building your own Copilot, or innovating and automating with AI throughout your business processes, the Azure AI Application Platform provides that comprehensive and integrated platform to deliver on these applications performing better, taking you to market faster. The platform includes AI infrastructure, providing computing power with CPUs and GPUs, application services to deploy and scale your apps, foundation models from AI innovators across the industry, your own business data, and the developer tooling to build these solutions. All of this wrapped up in our industry-leading approach to AI privacy, safety, and security. Now, Azure AI Platform, we heard about it a lot today, starting from the very keynote. It's this unified AI platform representing the Azure AI portal and unified SDK experiences in addition to the pre-built app templates and access to the third-party ISV and ISV tools and services. So earlier today, Satya shared that we're evolving the Azure AI Studio into this fully enterprise-grade management console to give organizations the visibility they need on cost, quality, performance, and safety. We're introducing the new Azure AI Agent Service to connect knowledge, memory, action, and models, all of it together, for creating robust and sophisticated apps. Together with the Azure AI Model Catalog, OpenAI Service, content safety, all of this is together powering the Azure AI Foundry. Developers will now be able to stay in their flow right where they are, directly access Azure AI services from the world's most popular developer tools, move quickly from idea to code and Microsoft-backed AI app templates, agent orchestration service, as well as the curated selection of integrated third-party solutions, discovering the best of models out there. The IT admins, operations, and compliance teams can now leverage the management and governance tools to run their AI apps effectively and with confidence. So now, every generation of applications has brought a changing set of needs. So just as web, mobile, and cloud drove the rise of new application platform, AI will also evolve how we build, run, govern, and optimize our apps that are defined by AI. With the power of the new models that are coming out every day, their power to solve, reason complex problems, there's this real opportunity to automate complex business processes and human workflows to drive business growth at the end. So data here forms the key to get you those insights and value creation for your businesses. Data forms the key here, driving us into decision making, better product design, better customer service, and better acquisitions. The opportunity for you here as customers, we see to use AI to automate virtually anything and every step of the way in your journey, workflows, business processes, ingesting signals to business processes and workflow automation, and to outputs, even actions. So there are challenges, however, and the developer has a steep learning curve here, from functions to new tools coming out, particularly with the Gen AI models coming out every other day with newer revisions. So as well as the AI engineer has to work on integrating to the existing systems. AI is bringing in new waves. You get to modernize, but you also have this whole set of existing capabilities to make it work with your technical debt in a whole new light. So the AI is also hallucinating at the same time. It's hard. And of course, the IT professional, we can never forget that. The IT professional needs have also transformed for the management of the tools that understand their security, privacy, safety, all of the aspects today, along with Gen AI coming in, way to manage costs and optimize resources. Now, I would like to invite Mandy to walk us through the end-to-end developer experience for AI app development and help you overcome these challenges and get started easily.
Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Thanks for being here. Last session of the day. Hope you've had a great day one. I'm Mandy Whaley. I lead our Azure DevTools and Azure SDK team. And I'm really excited to share with you some of the things that we've been building to help you build AI apps for a lot of these great use cases that Devanshi was sharing. So at Microsoft, we take an end-to-end approach for developer experience for helping you build cloud and AI applications. It starts in your IDE, in your editor, where you're writing your code, connecting to your DevOps tools like GitHub and Azure DevOps, and then all the way to Azure, the cloud platform. And our goal is for any developer working in any language to be successful. So we build libraries in Python, JavaScript, Java, .NET, and Go. And GitHub Copilot is there to help you along the whole journey. I wanted to take a minute to share about some of the new things happening with our Azure AI SDKs, because these are really at the core of how we're enabling you to build AI applications. A big part of this is our Azure OpenAI SDKs. We have these in Python, .NET, JavaScript, Java, and Go. These bring the incredible powers of the OpenAI models to Azure with Azure Security and Azure Enterprise Promises. You can check these out with the URL, the QR code that's there. This is a great way to get started, tons of samples, and really easy to use SDKs. And then we're really excited for the .NET community because OpenAI just announced their stable release of the OpenAI .NET SDK. And this is really great because it allows .NET developers to use the latest OpenAI features, and it pairs with the Azure Companion SDK libraries that we build so that you can easily move to Azure OpenAI and use things like Azure Identity and all of the Azure features that you're used to. So definitely go give this a try if you're a .NET developer. And then today, you've probably been hearing a lot about Azure AI Foundry. We're really excited to have the Azure AI Foundry SDK in preview. This is a new experience focused on a really simplified developer experience that brings everything you need to build an AI application together: evaluations, tracing, models. And one of the really cool things about it is that you can explore different models in the really expansive model catalog that we offer and make very few code changes. And that's one of the things that this Foundry SDK enables. So definitely go take a look at that. We are going to share some today, some demos, some tooling, some things that can help you on this whole journey of building an AI application. As we've been building AI applications and talking with customers and community members, we've kind of broken down into these steps of taking an idea of your AI-powered application and getting it to production. So you start with exploration. You're trying out different models. You're trying them in the playground. You're starting to collect your prompts. You're trying to see what does successful output start to look like. And then very quickly, you're into this development phase, where you're connecting the LLM part of your app to the rest of your application, maybe existing resources that you have. You may be starting to put your prompts in source control, so you can start to iterate on them. And you're just connecting and building out your user interactions and really starting to look like, what does your proof of concept look like? And then from there, you're starting to move towards pilot and production. And all of your normal software engineering best practices apply. You want to get your CI/CD pipeline set up. But there's some new things to think about in the pipeline. Like, how do you bring your prompt evaluations into your CI/CD pipeline so that you can be running your prompt evaluations just like you run your other automated tests? And we've built some great tooling to help you with that. We're going to be demoing some of that today. And then from there, you're moving to pilot and production, and users are starting to really interact with your application. And the ways that you're getting customer feedback and doing experimentation become really important. So we're going to take a look at this. I'm going to show you some of the tooling and experiences that it can help you during exploration and development. And then Dan is going to come up and cover some of the things that help you operationalize your app when you're heading for production. So we're going to build an application. We're on a team. We want to use GPT-4o, and we want to use the image processing capabilities of this. We're going to build an application where we can upload images and then chat with those images. We're going to use two new tools, the AI App Template Gallery and also GitHub Copilot for Azure. We're going to start in the AI App Template Gallery. So this is a new resource that we've just launched for developers. And it's a gallery of application templates that cover different AI use cases, application patterns. You can filter by the kind of task that it's doing. You can try out all the different languages. You can filter by model. And each one of these is an application that includes all of the source code needed to get it up and running, as well as the infrastructure as code files that help you provision the Azure resources. You can see what the app's gonna look like when you deploy it, an architecture diagram showing you what Azure resources are used, and many of them include videos that can help you get started. All of them you can open directly in GitHub code spaces, get started with one command, or just view the code on GitHub. So we're gonna use a template from the gallery to help us build our application. And we're also gonna use that together with GitHub Copilot for Azure. GitHub Copilot for Azure is now in public preview. We're super excited. This is a Copilot chat extension that you can use in VS Code to help you with all things Azure. So, looking for information about Azure resources, learning about new Azure services, now you have the latest Azure documentation right inside of your IDE that you can access just by asking questions. It also has information about your Azure context, your subscription, your tenants, so it can help you get information about your resources, troubleshoot issues, and even build and deploy applications. So we're gonna use these two things together, GitHub Copilot for Azure and the AI App Template Gallery. All right, we're gonna move into VS Code. So here I'm in VS Code, and I'm gonna see if Copilot can help me find a template to get started on my application using GPT-4o. So it's going out, it's querying and looking at that Azure AI Template Gallery for something that matches what I'm looking for. And here it is, it's found a template. It's the Chat plus Vision template. It gives me the URL. I can just type that init command into my terminal, and this is gonna start to set up my local environment. So I'm gonna give it an environment name, and now I have the application code here, ready for me to work with. You can see that we've got the application code. Here's where the chat is happening. And then I've also got infrastructure as code files that are helping provision all the different Azure resources that are used. So that looks great. This is gonna help me a lot. One of my favorite Copilot features is the workspace feature. And so you can ask at workspace, and this helps Copilot look at the entire repo, the whole code base, not just a few files. So I think about this as like maybe sort of an expert programmer on this code base. If I'm ramping up on a new project, it can help me learn about it. So this is great. This is telling me this is Python. We're using Azure OpenAI. It's gonna deploy to container apps. This is looking like the application that I wanna use. But I know we're also using Bicep to specify the resources. So I'm gonna ask at Azure to look a little bit deeper, to take a look at the actual Bicep files and just confirm which model we're using. Great, it took a look, it knows that we're using GPT-4o. That matches what I wanna do. And so now I'm ready to start deploying to Azure. But I wanna check the availability of GPT-4o in certain regions. So we're always adding new models to the AI Foundry catalog, and they roll out to different regions. So as you're thinking about where to put your application, where to put your compute resources, you can use at Azure to help you know the latest information on regional availability for different models. You can also use it to get information about AI resources that you've already deployed. Okay, great, so this is letting me know this, and East US 2, I'm gonna use that. So next I'm gonna ask GitHub Copilot to help me deploy this application. So this is great. It knows I'm using the Azure Developer CLI. It lets me know I can just use AZD provision and AZD deploy. Now this template takes about 3 to 4 minutes to deploy, the whole thing. Provisioning all the resources, packaging the application code, and deploying it. So in the time that you could maybe go grab a coffee, your application's up and running. This is the resource group that it will create. I've got Azure OpenAI resources, container apps environment, my managed identity so I can do keyless authentication, and my log analytics workspace. And I could dive into each one of those resources and take a closer look. And here's my application that was deployed. So we can try it out. We'll pick a graph, because one of the things that our team may be interested in is can we chat and get information from charts and graphs. So this is an example we're asking about. Is this tree coverage loss, which region has the most? And it can tell that tropical has the most, and it's the dark green area. Another thing we're interested is in interpreting diagrams. So this is an architecture diagram. I'm gonna ask it to list the services used in this app. And so it's gonna take a look at that architecture diagram, and it returns, these are all the Azure services that were used in that. Great. So we did it. We built our application. We're using GPT-4o. We've got our image processing application. From here, we could start to evolve that and add more resources and take our application to the next steps. There's a couple more things I want to show you with GitHub Copilot for Azure that can help you as you are evolving your application. So we're back in VS Code, and this is the Azure Container Apps VS Code extension, same resources we were just looking at. And one of the things that's really handy is you can focus on a resource and then say ask at Azure. And this lets the agent know that you want to talk about this specific resource. So I'm going to ask it to go get the most recent logs for this resource. This is something really common where I'm working on my application, and maybe I just want to check, is there anything going on? I could ask it to get errors. I can just take a quick look at what's going on with my application. So it's using my Azure context again, my subscription, my tenant. It knows what resource we're talking about. It's going out and querying those logs, and it's even going to bring them back and put them in a nice table for me. And one of the things that I really like about it is that I get a quick look at what's going on, but it will also give me the link that if I want to go continue looking deeper into the logs in the portal, I'll get a link to continue that in the portal. It's coming. There we go. So that is a super time saver. One other time saver that I really like to use is the fact that GitHub Copilot for Azure knows about my Azure resource graph. So I can ask it something like this. For that resource group we just created when we deployed our application, just give me a list of all those resources and give me the link to go directly to them in the portal. This is like a really great time saver that just gets all of those resources right in my coding environment, super accessible for me to if I need to go check a setting in the portal or dig deeper on something. Now, one other thing that you want to think about as you're going in those early phases of exploration and development and starting to move towards pilot are your costs. It's great to keep an eye on your costs as you're exploring different models, different application architectures. And GitHub Copilot for Azure can help you with that too. We have a cost management assistant. You can ask it to break down costs for certain time ranges by resource group, by service, and just get a quick view of that right inside of VS Code. Okay, so we did it. We built our application. It's up and running. And everything that I showed you is available for you to try today. You can go use all of this right now. The AI app template gallery is live. This QR code will get there. Go try out. You can deploy the app we were just looking at. And then you can also suggest use cases. If there's use cases that you would love to see in the application gallery, please let us know. And then GitHub Copilot for Azure, available in the VS Code Marketplace. Go install it, give it a try, start finding out which things help save you time and which things are really important to have in your editor. Really excited to be here with you today. Next, we're going to go ahead and look at the next phases through evaluations through production, and Dan's going to show you some great demos in that. All right? There you go.
All right, thank you, Mandy. All right, so I'm going to close this out by walking through how we can operationalize our AI applications using Azure AI Foundry and the Azure AI Foundry SDKs. And what we're going to use to do this is we're going to use an AI app template. So these templates are really fantastic. There's tons of different use cases out there. There's chat over images, content creation, enterprise chat, enterprise search. And then some of them contain everything that you need to fully operationalize your app for production and are fully connected to AI Foundry. So let's dive into one of those. The app template that we're going to look at, it's called Contoso Creative Writer. Yeah, it's super simple to install. Just do azd init-t Contoso Creative Writer. You'll pull down the template onto your machine. But this is a very interesting example application. One, it's a multi-agent AI application. So it's doing a bunch of different things. It's orchestrating across multiple different AI agents. We've got one researcher agent that's using Azure OpenAI. It's using tools like the Bing search service. It's using Azure AI Search. There's another writer agent that creates marketing copy, and then there's an editor agent. So if you're looking for an example of a multi-agent application, this is where to go. But this also includes a lot of the different services and resources that you need to operationalize an AI application. And we're going to dive into those. So when I say operationalize, this is what I mean. This is what I'm going to focus on. This is what we're going to show on today. AI governance, right? Most enterprises, really one of the barriers is they're not going to adopt generative AI unless they've got the ability to govern the different AI models, to govern the data that your AI applications are going to be using. And so we can implement all of that with Azure AI Hubs. So we're going to look at those. That's deployed with this AI app template. We're going to look at the developer experience with AI Foundry Playgrounds, so your developers can work with these different models. There's multimodal playgrounds that they can work with. We're going to dive into AI evaluations. We're going to look at CI/CD, continuous integration with GitHub Actions, and you have the ability to run AI evaluations as part of that. And then we're going to look at all the baked-in app monitoring, observability, tracing, as well as experiments. So I'm going to switch over to my machine, and we're going to get started. First thing that I want to show you is this is how we can get Contoso Creative Writer onto your machine. It's super simple. Just azd init Contoso Creative Writer. It's going to ask you to create a new environment name. I'm just going to give it a name. 1, 2, 3. I've got a project installed. I want to deploy this to Azure. This is what I do. azd up. Done. Pick a subscription, pick a region, and that Contoso Creative Writer AI app template is going to be deployed to my Azure subscription. Now, this one has a bunch of different resources in it, so it takes about 15 minutes. It's provisioning AI search, all that sort of stuff. So if I've already pre-provisioned it, this is a resource group that eventually gets created. Now, you'll see there's some very interesting things here. It's not just the app pieces. It's not just container apps. But we've got an AI hub. We've got an AI project. We've got application insights for monitoring. So this template contains basically everything that I need to implement all of that all those operationalization capabilities. This is the application. This is the Contoso Creative Writer application, and I can go ahead and show you what it does. So basically, if we look at this debug view over here, you'll see that we've got multiple agents working together to create ad copy for a particular blog post. First, there's a researcher task that's going out. It's querying the web. It's querying Bing Search to look up things based on the prompt that we have for our article. And then it's querying Open AI Search to retrieve product information. So the point of this is I want to author a blog post that infuses kind of marketing speak for products that I have in my store. And then after that, there's an editor agent. And the editor goes and it evaluates the blog post. It gives kind of review notes and those sorts of things, whether or not they should accept this. So this is a very interesting multi-agent application. Now, how do we operationalize it? So the first thing that we want to take a look at is the Azure AI Hub. So you could tell by the sort of random name here that this was provisioned by the infrastructure as code that was brought down when I ran azd init. The hub is the place where I can define different projects for my developers. This is where I can control the different models that our developers have access to. This is where I can control the data that our developers have access to. If you've been to other sessions, you may have heard there's over 1,800 models available to you in Azure AI. This is where you can constrain that. This is where you can say, all right, developers, you have access to these models. You have access to this data. You have access to these projects. Go ahead and go nuts, right? You can apply the governance at the hub level, and you still give your developers the flexibility to be productive and build AI applications. Another great thing about hubs is this is where I can manage my quota. Big concern for most enterprises is how do I manage and control costs and those sorts of things. This is sort of a single pane of glass where I can view quota across my entire subscription. So you'll see here in my subscription, I've got a couple dozen models deployed, right? And I can see the quota allocated to each of them. I can see quota allocated by model. I can see quota allocated by resource, right? And if I want to change the quota for one particular model, it's just a click right here, and I can increase quota for particular models. So this is where you can have centralized sort of management of quota, of cost, and all those sorts of things. So those are AI hubs, and that was deployed from that AI app template. Now, your developers, they're going to work with projects. So I've clicked into one of the projects that was deployed by that Azure AI template, app template, and they're going to spend a lot of time in playgrounds. Now, you'll see here, once this playground loads, this is where I can interact with the different models that were defined at the hub level, right? So I don't have access to every single model in the model catalog. I only have access to those models that were basically assigned to my project at the Azure AI Hub. So again, the point is you can control the models that your developers have access to, and then they can go in here and they can experiment with prompts. They can write their own custom prompts. They can use AI to generate prompts that they want to use to interact with this particular model. They can add their own data, but they can only add the data that was assigned at that hub level. And so we can enforce permissioning across all of this as well. So this is the developer experience. This is Azure AI Hubs and Azure AI projects. This enables you to enforce the governance that you need. Let's talk about some other operationalization concepts. One of those is tracing, right? Most AI applications are going to use multiple models, and you're going to need good observability in order to see how those models are interacting with each other, right? And so we can use the Azure AI Foundry SDKs to send our telemetry up to Azure AI Foundry, as you can see right here. So I can drill in to telemetry for my application. Looks like I had an error, so I can drill in here. I can see there's different models interacting with each other. I can see what model calls the other model. I can see what APIs are called, and I can drill into the tracing right here in Azure AI Foundry. I can also, if I wanted to, open this up in Azure Application Insights. So if I want to do deeper log analysis, we can use App Insights to query the logs as well, right? And so we just launched this into a workspace. I can see all my traces here. And there's even other queries where I can delve into the LLM telemetry. So if I wanted to see things like tokens used over time, average model duration, all these queries were a part of that AI app template that we deployed. So from a monitoring perspective, you can use the Azure Foundry SDKs to send your telemetry to App Insights and to your Azure AI project. The last thing that I want to show is evaluations. So we can create evaluations from Azure AI Foundry. You may have seen these demos, but it's super simple. It's just a button. You click, you pick your metrics, and you've got a new evaluation. But what I want to show is you can also run those from code. And so if I drill in, this is the code repo that we pulled down when I ran AZD and init. I'm using the latest Azure AI Foundry SDKs to run evaluations. So I can run these on demand. And what you're going to see here is I'm configuring the different metrics that I want to include in this particular evaluation. I've got a connection string up to my Azure AI project, so that's where I can stream the evaluation results. And so I can kick this off locally, right? So this is just Python. I'm using the Python libraries. I can run it locally. But it's also very easy for me to include this as part of the CI/CD pipeline. So this is a GitHub action. I'm calling the evaluate method. And so as part of my CI/CD, and this is good practice, anytime you tweak a prompt, anytime you change the model, anytime you change the data that your model is going to be using with RAG, it's a good idea to run evaluations against it so you can validate whether or not you've improved or degraded performance. Well, now it's very easy to run these as part of your GitHub actions, as part of your CI/CD pipeline. So just to take a quick peek, if you look at my GitHub, we'll see I've got evaluations loaded here. I can see the different scores for some of the different metrics that I configured in that code. I can also view evaluation results right here in Azure AI Foundry as well. So you can stream your results from your evals in multiple locations, CI/CD and AI Foundry. So those are the different capabilities, the different operationalization capabilities that we wanted to show. All that stuff was included in that Azure AI template. AZD init, AZD up. I've got a really good example for how I can build sort of a production-ready enterprise AI application. That's it. I'm going to hand it back to Devanshi to close us out. So thank you, everybody.
All right. Okay. I think I'm stuck. Just bear with me. Okay. So I think thank you, Dan and Mandy, for walking us through those amazing demos on how to get started across our technical patterns and use cases when we talk about starting to build AI apps. So for you to get started, of course, check out the AI app template gallery. Start today with the VS Code extension for GitHub Copilot for Azure. You can download it, use the same demo that we showed here today in your own environment, and start building. Okay, I'm going to just wait 5 more seconds for everyone to take a photo of this or go to the QR code. All right. Okay. Moving on, so Microsoft offers a variety of programs for you to get started and accelerate that journey for cloud and AI adoption, like Azure Innovate, Migrate, and Modernize, as well as Azure Essentials. Built for both enterprise customers as well as partners, ensuring that the cloud solutions that are being built are both reliable, secure, as well as performant at scale. So take advantage of those programs as well as the new Code With program, where Microsoft is offering co-development with customers for a 2 to 3 week sprint to accelerate your AI app dev journey. The development team here is helped with adopting these patterns and practices we talked about, and it pretty much accelerates, speeds up that realization of your ideas into productionized features, and overall helping your velocity to adapt to market changes with AI. This spans all use cases we talked about today, all technical patterns, right from code generation, documentation analysis, image analysis, document processing, and summarization, video processing, building your own AI assistants across all of the industries, healthcare, media entertainment, professional and financial services, as well as retail. So for getting your hands dirty, getting hands-on, try out the lab, mastering Azure Container Apps and GenAI for Intelligent Solutions, Lab 413 tomorrow, as well as take this AI app template demo more upfront on Thursday, Theater Session 616 with Kickstart Your AI App Development Journey. And lastly, on Friday morning, 8:30 a.m., we have another breakout that breaks down these use cases with customer insights. Choose the right AI app use case for your business. So we'll see you there tomorrow, and also on Friday. This brings us to the end, and thank you for joining us today. Have a great rest of Microsoft Ignite.